Well, it's the mental health. Joseph Harp Correctional Center is a really unique facility in the way that it acts within the agency, because it's the culture at Joseph Harp is so different. The diversity of the yard is so different, from the youthful offenders to the aging offenders to the mental health unit to the general population. All those different diversities and cultures are here together, encompassed behind these fences. But the mental health unit, as for the agency, is a place where these guys can come from other facilities, because there's very limited resources outside of prisons that can help these guys. But as they go through their process during their incarceration, they start decomposing for whatever reason, drug-induced psychosis, some kind of other diagnosed psychosis that they're in. And so they come here and we try to fix them. And the mental health staff up there try to get them back balanced out chemically and medically, so that they can go back out and be productive. MHU 1, Mental Health Unit 1, which is on the right-hand side, or the left-hand side, excuse me, is the lockdown side. Well, that is for the severe ill, and those are the guys that start decompensating the worst, and they go in there so they can they can get evaluated, get medicated, and get treated to start getting balanced back out, so that then they can go to the step-down unit. Most part, what you've seen there is there's 20 cells over there on a camera. There's 40 guys over on that one side, and those guys stay locked down 23 and 7 pretty much. And as they progress and get better, they start getting a little bit more liberties to get out and do for their own. It's really amazing to sit back and watch it sometimes, because you see those guys that go through the whole process and get out on the general population, and then for whatever reason start decomposing again and end up back over again, going through the cycle. And I don't know, I call it the cycle of life with those guys, because really some of those guys make it, become successful, some of them just don't. The second housing unit we went to was MHU 2, and it was the rehabilitated side. Those guys that have all the liberties of most of the general population operation aspects still have boundaries within themselves to where they need to still be protected by the mental health unit and still being protected from the general population, so they're not as vulnerable or counted as prey to what is subjected to happen to them from the general population out there. And then we went to G unit, which is a regular general populated housing unit for general pop offenders coming out of the mental health unit. For the most part, is what it was originally designed for. So they can still be protected somewhat by the mental health unit, and they're still being medicated, but they're still able to act and have the resources as a general population offender. I think that the biggest challenge that they have for them becoming stable, number one is just there's not enough of them. The staff are very limited up there, and they have very limited resources what they can use. Two is the biggest challenge they have is finding somewhere for these folks to go once their incarceration is completed. Once they get out on the street, where can they go to continue this type of treatment and have the resources, because they're just not. And a lot of times it's just a revolving door. If you go down to, it's amazing, I went to the Salvation Army during Thanksgiving to help feed my wife and I, my son. And some of those guys down there is just a revolving door from the mental health unit. You go down there, they're in these crisis centers, and pretty soon they leave the crisis center and they end up right back in prison, because there's nowhere else for them to go. So they commit crimes just so they know that they can be sheltered and taken care of and be treated the way they need to be treated.